Calling the matters of the people versus Timothy Talley Williams. Appearances for the record, starting with Mr. Williams, who's representing himself. It's okay, Attorney Vinek. He's representing himself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Williams, can you state your name for the record, please?
Timothy for the record, here by special visitation.
All right, and this is the date and time set for a final pretrial in this matter. We are scheduled for a jury trial on Monday. Attorney Mason has tendered to the court a witness list in this matter, as well as a special jury instruction served for you to be able to see in this particular matter. And let me ask again for the record, you have the right to have an attorney. Would you like to have an attorney for you in these matters, sir?
Well, for the record, I'm here to serve a default judgment. I serve you, Andy and Mason, the affidavit. Back.
You did, and I'm in receipt. Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
Yes, on the first, and I gave you 15 days. It was 23 days I gave you, and I haven't received a rebuttal. So I served you guys with a default.
I don't know what a default is. So there's no default judgments in.
Right here, folks, is a classic sovereign citizen moment. Timothy insists he served a default judgment, but the judge immediately clarifies, default judgments don't exist in criminal cases. Defaults apply mostly in civil matters when someone doesn't respond to a complaint. This is a critical moment because it sets up the first clash between his interpretation of the law and reality. Who do you think is in the wrong here? Comment below. Is Timothy genuinely confused, or is this a strategy to derail the court process? Keep watching because the tension between his understanding and legal procedure keeps building from here.
The only default that we have is if you don't appear to answer for a ticket, then the default that goes into place is your failure to answer for a ticket. Once it's established and it's here, I don't have to establish why these are tickets on the docket. That's why they have the jury and the bench trial options for you. These have been matters that have been, unless there's been a motion about a formally written motion about illegal stop or some constitutional violation, these tickets are considered to be valid and true.
No, I answered an affidavit of non-corporate existence.
So Mr. Williams, the answer to the question today is whether you're going to trial on Monday or not. That's all I'm here for.
Well, you guys haven't rebutted my affidavit.
Mr. Williams, again, I'm going to say, Mr. Williams, again, the question for today is whether you're going to trial on Monday or not. That's all. I have officers present. I have officers Evans present. I have Officer McCree present. I don't know if Officer Bush is coming as well, but they are here today to know whether or not they're going to be ready for trial on Monday. We set this jury trial out a long time ago for this trial on Monday. So are we going to trial?
Officers? What officer?
We have Officer Evans and Officer McCree present today.
And Judge, I have Officer Nunley. He's trying to check in right now. Faison Nunley.
Officer Bush is here also.
Thank you, Officer Bush.
Good
I didn't see. Good morning. Oh, it's Evans Williams. Okay, say thank you, Officer Bush.
Notice how the courtroom dynamics shift the second the officers are acknowledged. Officers Evans, McCree, Nunley, and Bush are present, ready to testify. For the audience, this is a pivotal moment. Anyone claiming, "I am not a person" or "I'm only traveling freely" is about to collide with the facts. You can see why courts schedule pre-trials. It's all about getting clarity on what witnesses will present. Timothy thinks he's armed with constitutional firepower, but the officer's presence signals reality check number one. These pre-trial conferences are where the drama simmers before it erupts in front of the jury.
Okay, we go to trial.
Okay, so Monday we go to trial. Do you have a witness list or no, it's just you, Mr. Williams? Record attorney, Mr. Williams?
No, that'll be it.
Okay, all right. So you have a drive unregistered, untitled motor vehicle and drove while unlicensed, and a no proof of insurance. That's one officer. The next officers are open alcohol driver, tinted windows, no seat belt, no driver's license, no insurance, untitled motor vehicle. And then the final officer is going to be drive unregistered motor vehicle, no insurance, no license ever acquired, and tinted windows. Okay.
And Your Honor, if I may interject, since he does have an email, I can copy those tickets and email them over to him so that
Please.
he can have them. I'll come down and get those. And I will
Appreciate
email
it.
those tickets over to you, Mr. Williams.
Okay.
So that way
And
you can see
for
what
the
the
record,
tickets
can
say.
are we able to argue these matters right now, or are we going to trial? Is
You
it
said
possible
you
we
want to
can?
have a trial. What you want to?
Yeah,
You
but
want
I'm
to talk
saying
to
like
Attorney Mason?
what was that?
I said you want to talk to Attorney Mason just briefly in a breakout room and see if y'all can resolve any of the tickets.
Well, we was just emailing, and I don't know if it meant anything to her, so that's why I wouldn't just take it to trial. And
Well, because you can't say I just want you to dismiss it because I'm not a citizen. That's not gonna work. Or I just want
Oh
you to
no, that's
dismiss
not
it.
it. I got laws stating that all this is frivolous, but I'm saying, can we argue this?
Here's where it gets entertaining. Timothy's back with case law references, Shapiro vs. Thompson, Murdoch vs. Pennsylvania, but he's applying them in ways that don't connect with traffic laws. This is textbook sovereign citizen behavior, cherry-picking cases to justify personal beliefs rather than responding to the actual tickets. For viewers, it's a great reminder. Just quoting Supreme Court cases doesn't automatically make your argument valid. Legal precision matters. And yes, we'll break down why these citations are interesting, but ultimately irrelevant for driving violations in Michigan.
Right now, or do we?
A lot of people will say the laws are frivolous. Well, yes, if you have some argument that you would like to make, you can make it that way. I can rule, and that way we can go to, if we're going to move forward to trial, we can go to trial. Yes, Attorney Soroki?
Yeah, if you like, I could speak to Mr. Timothy Williams in a breakout room for a few minutes, explain the legal system to him.
Yes. Can you?
No, sir.
Do you want to make your argument first, Mr. Williams, or do you want Attorney Soroki? Just he wants to give you a little feedback. That way you'll be prepared for Monday's trial. No? All right. On the record, in the matter of the people versus Timothy Williams, can I have appearances? First, Attorney Mason, then Mr. Williams.
For the record, Your Honor, Chiku Mason, City of Detroit, 43471.
All right. Mr. Williams?
Yes, Timothy before the court, hereby special appearance. As a state citizen, not a U.S. citizen.
Okay. Changes every time. All right, you want to make a motion or you want to make an argument as to these tickets? You can go ahead at this time, Mr. Williams.
Okay, for the record, for the record, Shapiro versus Thompson states that all citizens must be free to travel throughout the United States, uninhibited by statutes, rules, or regulations, which unreasonable burden or restrict movement. Did you get that?
I'm listening. I'm just writing down. You see, I got my notepad.
Okay.
I'm writing down notes.
And then Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, the Supreme Court decided that a state cannot arbitrarily or erroneously convert a secure liberty, in this case, the secure right to travel, into a privilege and charge of or issue a hold on. A state can't arbitrarily or erroneously convert a secure liberty into a privilege and issue a license and a fee for it, meaning we don't need license or insurance to travel throughout the land. And Murdoch versus Pennsylvania states no state convert secure liberty to a privilege. No, Shuttlesworth versus Pennsylvania. No,
Pause right here. This is where Timothy conflates right to travel with the ability to drive without a license. Courts have repeatedly clarified that Shapiro versus Thompson protects interstate travel regarding welfare and residency requirements, not motor vehicle operation. This is an important distinction because it highlights a common misconception among sovereign citizens. For our audience, ask yourself, would you recognize the difference between constitutional travel rights and state-imposed licenses? Understanding this nuance is key because it's what the judge keeps trying to explain while Timothy keeps layering case law that doesn't apply.
Shuttlesworth versus Birmingham, Alabama. You can ignore the license and engage in the right with impunity if you happen to have a license. And back to Murdoch versus Pennsylvania. No state may convert a secure liberty into a privilege. So no state has a right to require you to have a license. Hold on.
Argument as far as no state can force you to have a license.
Require.
Because it's a constitutional right to travel.
Which is our First Amendment.
So this right to travel was about a welfare case, Mr. Williams, where she wanted to go to a different state. And they told her that because she didn't have established residency in that she was going to be denied services.
Right, and that violated her.
Right, because it's talking
right
about services. She needed to take care of her child. She was 19 and she was pregnant.
But you avoiding the facts of the case. Even though that she filed a lawsuit against the state for denying her privileges, but the Supreme Court ruled that the Supreme Court ruled that can't happen because that also be violating her right to travel throughout the states, throughout the land.
To receive the benefits that she needs in order to take care of herself and her child.
Yes, but you're missing the argument that the Supreme Court has stated. That'll be violating her First Amendment right, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I don't want you to miss that fact. That's what they ruled.
They said the closest the Supreme Court has come to overturning Shapiro Thomas was in 1995 with Anderson versus Green, California Welfare and Interstate Code annotated section instituted a 1-year residency requirement for welfare aid, violating Shapiro versus Thompson. Both lower courts in California affirmed that violated Shapiro versus Thompson and granted the injunction. I'm sorry. Due to the procedural issue, California's residency requirement never went into effect, creating no justifiable controversy action and no actual issuance for the court to rule on. Whether they receive a waiver from the Secretary of Health or Human Services to set aside Shapiro versus Thompson, making the residency requirement pseudo-legal, the waiver was challenged again, and it's holding that the state court and the Secretary of HHS had not adequately considered public comment on the issues. So this just talks solely about, even talks about the social impact. The social impact and the legal impact is that you can go different places, and we as the governments of each state still have a requirement to take care of those citizens within our state. This is about welfare. Yeah, this is about the welfare system and the ability for people. You cannot stop people from traveling. I don't see anything in here about a driver's license.
The decision of the court.
Right, she has the right to go places.
Look, the court reaffirmed the right to travel under the 14th Amendment Privilege and Immunities Clause in Suez versus Roe. So they conferred it to another case. But the conclusion of the case like that would be violating her right to travel. It has something to do with the welfare, but it's violating.
This is the judge delivering a reality check. Timothy is stuck in a loop. citing the same 3 cases all sovereign citizens love, none of which address driving or insurance requirements. The takeaway for viewers: legal arguments must match the facts. You can't pull from unrelated cases and expect the court to rule in your favor. It's also a lesson in courtroom strategy. Preparing relevant case law is essential. Comment below if you've ever tried to use off-topic examples to prove a point. Does it ever work? In court, rarely. In YouTube commentary, yes. It's pure entertainment.
To travel or to go to another state is because then they're saying once she gets to that state, she has to establish some type of residency. And what they're saying is that if she doesn't have that residency, she wouldn't get the services needed. And so they're saying you can't say, oh, you can't go to this state and not get the stuff that you need to take care of yourself and your family just because you're not. I can't stop her. I can't say you can't move to this state and then we're going to block everything. I can't do that.
Right.
This is not about a license.
Which will violate the right to travel.
No.
That was the decision of the court. I'm not making that up.
You aren't, but you're not understanding what their decision was based on. Yes, you have the right to travel, but this is concerning services.
So if I chose to carry a weapon, I will be bearing arms.
If you chose to carry a weapon in the state of in Illinois, that's an automatic. You're not allowed to carry weapons at all in the state of Illinois unless you're a law enforcement officer. So if you traveled over the state lines and you went to Illinois and you tried to carry a gun, they would tell you no.
But that's irrelevant, Your Honor. We're talking about the state of Michigan. I have a right to bear arms, but you will call it receiving
exactly.
But the Constitution of Michigan states that I can bear arms, but
because once again, and we had this conversation already, the states can make stuff more, the localities can make stuff, they can, and it's a state law anyways, but they can be harsher than the U.S. Constitution, but they can do something that would take away from the U.S. Constitution. So they're not taking away your right to bear arms. They're just putting parameters around that right. And recently it was challenged at the Court of Appeals when someone tried to say that the people have the right to bear arms and that seeing a bulge or doing stuff like that didn't equate to it. And the Court of Appeals has said and ruled that that does give probable cause for an officer to ask about whether or not they have the licensing because the state has determined that they need to have the licensing. So if the state determines that there needs to be a certain licensing in place and that rule or that is violated, then that has to go forward.
But that's kind of irrelevant.
Okay.
And like Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, say no state can convert a secure liberty into a...
This line right here: if we let sovereign citizens govern themselves, we'd wake up to a nationwide crayon shortage by morning, perfectly captures the absurdity and humor in these proceedings. It's serious business, yes, but the courtroom occasionally becomes a theater of contradictions. Sovereign citizens believe they are above certain laws, yet rely on others to uphold their interpretation of rights. For the audience, it's both comedic and educational. Laws exist for a reason, and self-governance without accountability quickly turns chaotic. Who else thinks the judge might have a secret smirk behind that stern expression?
Our secure liberty, First Amendment, is the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Right to travel throughout the United States of America.
Right.
Freely and unencumbered. We're not causing harm to anybody. We just obeying the constitutional rights. Exercising our constitutional rights, which is the court is here to help protect them. I'm relying on the constitutional rights. I'm not just out here willfully nilly, like United States versus Bishop.
But you are, because you're only taking the part that you want to be applied to you. So you are out here willy-nilly. Because if you were following, if you were following everything, you would want to follow everything and all the rules that were put into place. So all that
I'm following laws, not
following what you want to follow. And that's no. We talked about how that leads to anarchy. People can't do whatever they want to do. They say that I can follow only this. That's no. That's like me coming one day and saying, I want to practice law and I want to be a judge, and I haven't gone through any of the things to become a judge. That's not how it works.
I see how you
I
put
can't
it,
sit
but
up
that's
there with a
not.
fake P number. They wouldn't let me do that.
I see how you put it, but that's not true. What about Title 18 USC Section 241?
Mr. Williams, do you want a trial on Monday or not? You
Yeah,
can't
I want
argue
to go.
this stuff to
Yeah,
the
I want to go to
jury.
trial, but I can't.
Okay. You can't argue this stuff to the jury. You can.
Here's a critical clarification. In Michigan, participating in public roadways triggers legal responsibilities. Even if Timothy revokes his ID or claims to be a traveler, strict liability crimes like driving without a license still apply. The court is essentially saying your rights don't exempt you from following laws that protect everyone. It's a perfect example of how legal systems enforce compliance regardless of personal beliefs. For viewers, imagine thinking you're above the law. How do you see this play out if everyone did the same thing? The courtroom ensures order, not just debate.
Argue that maybe something, making sure that they didn't check the things, like you have to follow the law. I have to treat you as an attorney in that place on Monday. So I have to treat that you know how to practice and go about the way of law. And these different things, like you can't just give the jury cases and stuff like that. That's not what it's going to be about. And you'll most likely end up with objections that I'll have to sustain because it's going to be talking about the facts of these particular cases where the officers came today to show up. So it has to stick to those things about what the officers came to argue about, or what Attorney Mason will make the argument for and officers came to testify about.
What is they testifying about?
That the court did have jurisdiction and that the officers could write tickets.
You haven't explained jurisdiction.
I don't have to explain anything. It's not my job to explain it.
But you said you did explain, but you didn't.
But I said I allowed you to explain it. Do you need to pull it up on YouTube?
But the burden is on the prosecutor.
Right, not on me. I'm the court. I just called laws and strikes.
And the prosecutor cannot state how she has jurisdiction.
Okay, Attorney Mason, do you want to state how you have jurisdiction over these matters?
Statute provides us with the jurisdiction over this matter. The statutes and the laws of the court provide us the jurisdiction over these matters.
That's subject.
I am empowered by the state. I am empowered by my bar card, which has been submitted to the state of Michigan. I'm empowered by the city of Detroit.
That she still not stating. I got object to that she not stating how she has jurisdiction over.
She's telling you it's by the statutes. The statutes that were given.
Statutes is not law.
Okay.
I'm obeying by the law.
So you want us to call them laws? Laws are statutes. They're the same thing. It's just a fancy way of saying laws. Statutes are just a fancy way of saying laws.
Statutes are persuasive. Laws are mandatory.
These are laws. Okay, statutes are laws. That's just a fancy way of saying laws.
Yeah, they derive.
Boom, this is where the court lays down the principle of automatic legal obligations. Whether you agree or not, certain laws and statutes kick in when you engage with society, driving, using public roads, or benefiting from public services. Timothy's argument that I don't consent is a common thread among sovereign citizens, but it doesn't hold up legally. For the audience, take note. Consent is not required for laws to apply. This is a teaching moment for anyone interested in constitutional theory versus practical law.
Your Honor, I'm going to
rules and regulations.
I'm going to just make a motion that these matters have already been resolved. That the court has previously stated that the trial was set forth regarding the facts of the incidents that have arisen, and that the witnesses will testify only to the facts regarding the tickets.
What are the facts?
The facts are the things on the ticket. So you have to research the law and find out exactly what each one is to show.
According to Michigan Vehicle Code 257-744A, police officers who knowingly make a false statement on the citation is unlawful.
Okay.
I travel with a passport. My ID been canceled since 2018, so none of that is true.
Just because you cancel your ID, and this is the last argument for today, and then we're just gonna have trial on Monday. Just because you cancel your ID doesn't mean now you have the right to drive in the state of Michigan. That's not the law of this state. When you avail yourselves of the roads, the lights, the streets, the anything, once you take part on those items, then you automatically allow yourself to avail yourself to any laws that are being taken place, any statutes that are being taken place, any codes that are taking place.
This is another perfect example of selective logic. Timothy is essentially saying, I only follow laws I like, which the court cannot accept. The danger here isn't just him, it's what happens if everyone adopted that philosophy. The courtroom must balance individual rights with societal order. Comment below. Would you want to live in a society where people pick and choose which laws to follow? The judge's patience is tested, but these moments make for compelling commentary because they reveal how far ideology can stretch reality.
All of those now become active, whether you want them to or not. There's no, I don't want them to.
They become active when you agree to the stipulations.
You don't have to agree. It does not say that. We have stuff called strict liability crimes. And those are crimes that automatically kick into place whether you agree for them or not. And that's what these are. Whether you agree or not, they are things that must happen. So
I agree that certain people, I agree.
9:30. I'll see everybody at 9:30. Listen, either you're gonna take care of these things.
Certain persons need to be governed, but everybody is not to be governed. We certain people.
To wrap up, Timothy Talley Williams's pre-trial conference highlights a clash between sovereign citizen beliefs and established legal realities. The court clarified jurisdiction, ticket validity, and strict liability laws, while Timothy relied on misapplied case law to argue his freedom to travel without a license. The key takeaway: rights are real, but they don't exempt citizens from following statutes designed to protect the public. His jury trial was scheduled for Monday, but the case remains pending, illustrating that courtroom procedure moves on with or without full compliance. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.